Hello, Emirates Physics instructors. Welcome back to my vlog. There's gonna be a little different setup today because I'm not gonna actually show you what's happening inside my classroom right now, but instead I will just show you how I talk to my students about credit decision and the information they need so that they can make the most informed decision on how accepting or declining the Emirates Physics credit will affect them in the future. So I have here pulled up the Emirates Physics credits transfer research. You can find this in the high school Canvas section for Unit 9. And I think it's pretty good because it shows them like all of the information they need to look up before they can make an informed decision on whether to accept or decline the Emirates credit. So I'll just show you what I make my students do on how to research these things for their school university. So I'll just do Texas A&M because it's a pretty common school. And even though I am a Longhorn fan and I tell my students they're not allowed to go there, they still go there anyways. So I'll just do it at Texas A&M because I feel it can help a lot of people. So to find the minimum letter grade required for transfer credits, all the kids have to do is look up like the school. So I'll do Texas A&M transfer credit policy. All right, so then the AI will say something, but I don't trust the AI. So I tell all my kids to actually look for the words on the actual website. So then right here on their website, it says as a general rule, credit will be given for transfer work satisfactorily completed with a passing grade at another properly accredited institution. So that means as long as they pass the class, then they will receive credit, so passing. And then to find out if the transfer credit will factor into the college GPA, what they have to look up is the school. So I will look up Texas A&M, Texas A&M GPA policy. And then it will give you all the rules that Texas A&M has for their GPA system. So then right here, right, under grade point average, it says only the grade earned in coursework for which the student was registered in this institution shall be used in determining his or her grade point average. So since this Emirates Physics student is not registered at Texas A&M yet, then the grade they earned in Emirates Physics will not count towards the GPA. So I've seen other schools where it does count for the GPA. So if I look up University of Oklahoma, GPA policy. Oh, nice, autocorrect. And then I go to the website because I don't trust the AI. All right, grade point average. It says the cumulative retention graduation grade point average is based on all the work attempted, both transfer and OU. So for Oklahoma, all the transfer credit will count toward the GPA. But for Texas A&M, right, it does not count for the GPA. So each school is going to be a little bit different in how they take the credit. So A&M does not factor in the class for the GPA. And what that looks like, so some kids are also confused on what that looks like. So it means that they get credit for the class, but it doesn't affect their GPA. So on their transcripts, and I know this because I went to UT Dallas, and they also do not take the GPA for the transfer credit. It'll look something like this. So if this is my transcript, so it says transfer credit from Austin Community College, theirs will say transfer credit from University of Texas at Austin, and it has like the class, and then it has the grade, and the points is what really matters, right? So it's sort of 0 points, so it doesn't count to my GPA, but I still got credit for these classes. So if the class does count for the GPA, then it will be like a non-zero number for points, right? So here's my like general chemistry lab, there's my grade, and then there's points. So these are the grade point averages that I earned for the class, and that counted as non-zero. So if it doesn't count, they'll say 0. So for A&M, it does not count for your GPA. And then to determine whether the credits will count to the degree plan, so the kids need to do 2 things, right? So the first thing they have to do is find out, so what is the course? So course at the university. So what I mean by that is that UT calls this class, right, 5302K, A&M calls this class something different, right? OU calls this class something different. University of Kansas calls this class something different. So you need to figure out what this class is at their university. And then once they figure out what the class is called, they look at the degree plan and see if the class is actually in their degree plan. So to do the first part, figure out what course that Texas A&M calls this class. You look up the school, so Texas A&M. And then the key search phrase that you want to look for is course equivalency. So course equivalency right here. So then it will take you to the university like course equivalency database. A&M, they call it Howdy. So then I'll go to whatever their database is, and we want to search for sending institution, right? So we're transferring from UT Austin to Texas A&M. So search from sending institution. It'll make you put the state. And then the hard part is figuring out what University of Texas is called on the different websites. So I've seen the University of Texas at Austin. I've seen the University of Texas at Austin. But for A&M, they call it Univ of Texas, Austin. So then I'll click on that. And then the next thing to do is search for the course. So we are Phi, so PHY. And then the course number, right? So we get 302K and 102M. So I'll just do 302K, right? And then go what's the course is, and it should show up my screen right here. Okay. So on the left-hand side, let me screenshot so I can draw, is the UT course. So this is the course at UT. And then on the right-hand side, this is the course at Texas A&M. So if a kid sees Phys 201 on the Texas A&M degree plan, that counts for this class. But I do believe that you have to take both the lab and the lecture because Phys 201 at A&M is the lab and the lecture. Okay, so then if you go to the degree plan, so let's say I want to major in, I don't know, kinesiology. So I'll do Texas A&M. So that's the school, the major, and the degree plans, right? So Texas A&M kinesiology degree plan. Boom, and it should be the first result. So I want a specific major, say let's do exercise and sports science. So on the program requirements, it will tell you like all the classes that you have to take to graduate with this degree at Texas A&M. So since we figured out from the previous step that honors physics is Phys 201, then you would just look for Phys 201 in the degree plan, and it looks like it's right here. All right, so every student who wants to major in kinesiology within exercise and sports science track, they have to take college physics, which is honors physics. So this is our class. So if a kid wants to accept the credit for this class, then they do not have to take this class because they transfer the credit over. So it's the 3 lecture hours and the lab. So you do need the lab for this one as well. Okay, so that's an example for kinesiology. It's specifically in the degree plan. So like another example would be if I want to do biology at Texas A&M. So Texas A&M biology degree plan. All right, program requirements, right, it's also in here. So biology majors at Texas A&M have to take this class as well. But then if I do biochemistry, and I look at the degree for biochemistry, Phys 201 is not on here, right? So it's Phys 206. So Phys 201 is not even in anywhere in the biochemistry degree plan. So it's Phys 206, which if I click on it, is going to be the calculus-based version for this class, right? It's calculus-based. So honors physics one is only the algebra-based, so it does not meet the requirements for the calculus-based class if the calculus-based class is required for the degree plan. So another scenario I've seen is where it's not even in the degree plan, but does count as a core curriculum class. So if I were to major in, I don't know, A&M, they have marketing. I assume they have marketing. Marketing. So majors, let's do advertising strategy. Sure. All right, and so I'm looking at the marketing advertising strategy track degree at Texas A&M, and nowhere in here is Phys 201, but you do have to take a life and physical sciences class. And here are all the options that someone could choose for their life and physical sciences requirement. And on this list is Phys 201. So even if the class isn't specifically listed in the degree plan, but a life and physical sciences or natural sciences like core curriculum is required for the degree, sometimes you just have to look it up and see if on-ramps physics does count for that science core curriculum requirement. In the case of Texas A&M, it does. So for a marketing major, right, you don't need the specific class, but this would fulfill the science core curriculum requirement. So hopefully this was helpful and you're able to like help your kids figure out what exactly they need to search to get the information they need. If they can't find anything, then I always recommend like calling a person at the university to talk to you, because if the phone keeps ringing, like someone's got to pick it up because it's really annoying. And then it's always nice to have like a person answer your question than rather like looking it up on their website, because sometimes the information on the website is hard to find. So I hope this was helpful, and this is going to be my last vlog for the year. Hope you all have a great summer.